Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the weekly press briefing of the Foreign Office. Let me begin by congratulating the nation on the conduct of successful flight test of Shaheen 3 surface-to-surface ballistic missile with a range of 2,750 kilometers. We deeply appreciate the dedication, commitment and technical prowess of the scientists, engineers and the armed forces of Pakistan in making the launch successful. The successful flight test was part of Pakistan's strategic capability manifestation, which is aimed at ensuring credible deterrence against any aggression. Prime Minister Imran Khan has congratulated the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, on the occasion of his inauguration yesterday. In his congratulatory tweet, the Prime Minister has stated that Pakistan is looking forward to working with President Biden in building a stronger Pakistan-United States partnership through trade and economic engagement, countering climate change, improving public health, combating corruption, and promoting peace in the region and beyond. The foreign ministers of Turkey and Azerbaijan visited Pakistan last week. During the visit, they held delegation-level talks with Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi. They also separately called on the President and the Prime Minister of Pakistan and other dignitaries. During the meeting with his Turkish counterpart, the Foreign Minister underscored the importance of building a stronger economic partnership, including by realizing the vision of the strategic and economic framework between Pakistan and Turkey. Thanking Turkey's firm support on the core issue of Jammu and Kashmir dispute, the Foreign Minister briefed his Turkish counterpart on the grave human rights situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. A memorandum of understanding relating to cooperation in the field of education was also signed during the visit. During his visit, the Foreign Minister of Azerbaijan also held a meeting with the Foreign Minister. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi congratulated the government and the people of Azerbaijan on their historic victory in the recent conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. He also expressed support for rehabilitation and reconstruction activities in the newly liberated territories. The Foreign Minister reaffirmed the mutual resolve to comprehensively upgrade cooperation in the political, security, trade, economy, energy, connectivity, education and cultural arenas. Foreign Minister Qureshi expressed appreciation for Azerbaijan's steadfast support to the just and legitimate cause of the Kashmiri people. A memorandum of understanding for cooperation in the field of natural emergencies and disasters were also signed during the visit. Pakistan hosted the second trilateral meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Azerbaijan, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and the Republic of Turkey. The first trilateral meeting was held in Baku in 2017. The trilateral meeting concluded with the signing of the Islamabad Declaration by the three foreign ministers. The three sides agreed to enhance joint efforts on combating Islamophobia and discrimination and persecution of Muslim minorities, decided to intensify and deepen cooperation for enhancing trilateral trade and investment as well as regional connectivity, reiterated their principled position for a peaceful settlement of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute in accordance with the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. Leader of Hizb Wahdat-e-Islami Afghanistan, Ustad Kareem Khalili visited Islamabad along with his delegation. During the visit, Ustad Khalili called on the Prime Minister and met with the Speaker National Assembly of Pakistan, the Foreign Minister and other dignitaries. The visit of Ustad Khalili was part of Pakistan's ongoing policy to reach out to political leadership in Afghanistan to forge common understanding on the Afghan peace process and deepen people to people contacts and linkages. As part of his regular engagement, the Foreign Minister held telephonic conversation with his counterparts from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Bahrain. Congratulating his counterparts on the successful GCC summit held at Al Ula, Saudi Arabia, the Foreign Minister appreciated the positive steps taken by the members of the organization that led to successful resolution of the outstanding disputes. The Foreign Minister discussed with his counterparts ways to further strengthen and diversify the respective bilateral relations and enhance collaboration in multilateral organizations. The RSS BJP regime continues to be exposed internationally for its negative propaganda against Pakistan and irresponsible actions imperiling peace and stability in the region. The recent developments regarding Arnab Goswami's WhatsApp chats leaks have further exposed India's sinister designs against Pakistan and vindicated Pakistan's long-held position. The latest revelations confirm that Pakistan has consistently pointed out that the BJP government stages false flag operations, maligns Pakistan with terrorism-related allegations, stokes hyper-nationalism in the country, and then deviously manipulates national sentiments in its bid to win elections. We had, at the outset, rejected India's malicious propaganda against Pakistan and highlighted that the biggest beneficiary of the Pulwama attack in February 2019 was the BJP government, as it secured landslide victory in the ensuing Lok Sabha elections. The transcripts also illustrate the unholy nexus between the Hindutva regime and its cronies in the Indian media. We hope that the international community would take full cognizance of the situation and hold India accountable for its actions, vitiating the regional environment and endangering peace and security in South Asia. India continues to remain evasive on the horrific incident in Jodhpur, India, where 11 members of a Pakistani Hindu family died under mysterious circumstances. A group of Pakistani Hindu community from all across the country, including the family members of the deceased and the patron-in-chief of Pakistan Hindu Council, called on the Foreign Minister yesterday. They handed over a petition expressing serious concerns over the continuing failure of the Indian government to carry out a transparent and credible investigation to bring the perpetrators of the heinous crime to justice. The family of the deceased has raised serious concerns hinting at the involvement of Indian agency Raw and Analysis Wing in the incident. India has not explained as to why the bodies of the deceased were hastily cremated without informing the High Commission for Pakistan in London, and why a post-mortem in the presence of Pakistan High Commission's doctor was not permitted despite repeated requests by the High Commission. The Foreign Minister assured the delegation that the government of Pakistan will continue urging the government of India to carry out a comprehensive investigation into the matter and share its findings with Pakistan without further delay. The Minister of Human Rights, Dr. Shireen Mazari, has also addressed a letter to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva, calling for constitution of an investigation team under the auspices of the United Nations to investigate the deaths of 11 Pakistani Hindus in India. Since the deceased were Pakistan nationals, it is incumbent upon the government of Pakistan to be fully aware of the circumstances under which its nationals died in India. The government of India is obligated in this regard to fully cooperate with the government of Pakistan. Now, coming to the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the military siege, communications blockade, media blackout, and every possible violation of human rights of the Kashmiri people continue for 535 days since India's illegal and unilateral actions of 5th August 2019. In a new law, the RSS BJP regime has merged the civil services in IIOJK with civil services of certain other Indian states in violation of the international law. India cannot hide its true intention behind such decisions, which is further disempowerment of the Kashmiris through weeding out of Kashmiri civil servants from IIOJK. Pakistan firmly condemns the framing of Mr. Shabir Ahmad Shah by the Indian authorities in a fake 6-year-old case under the Draconian Unlawful Activities Prevention Act UAPA. It is immediately obvious that Mr. Shah's persecution has nothing to do with the maintenance of justice, but is being undertaken by the RSS BJP combined to muzzle the Kashmiri voices. Pakistan demands that fake charges against Mr. Shah be immediately withdrawn, the political victimization of Kashmiri leaders be ceased, and Mr. Shah and other incarcerated Kashmiri leadership be released without further delay. Pakistan has also approached the United Nations Secretary General in New York to seek immediate release of Kashmiri leader Mr. Mohammad Yasin Malik. Mr. Malik has been charged on counts of terrorism under the notorious Public Safety Act without due process of law and in violation of his fundamental human rights. Independent voices all over the world continue to call out India on its gross and systematic violations of human rights in IIOJK and the minority rights inside the country. Human Rights Watch, in its report of 11 January 2020, underlined that 7 human rights and humanitarian organizations had called upon the European Union to take a strong stand and press India to immediately end systemic human rights violations. These organizations include Amnesty International, Christian Solidarity Worldwide, International Dalit Solidarity Network, International Freedom for Human Rights, Frontline Defenders, Human Rights Watch, and World Organization Against Torture. The report also called upon India to free all detained human rights defenders and other arrested on politically motivated charges. On 11 January, the UK parliamentarians and chairperson of the All-Party Parliamentary Kashmir Group wrote a letter to the British Prime Minister and highlighted the egregious human rights violations in IIOJK. The letter also drew attention to India's crackdown on minorities, the forced shutdown of Amnesty International operations last year, the security dimension of Jammu and Kashmir dispute, and urged these matters to be taken up with the Prime Minister of India. A major development in this regard was the debate moved in the House of Commons of the United Kingdom by Sarah Owen on the situation in IIOJK. The debate by the UK parliamentarians and voices like these across the world indicate that India can no longer hide its atrocities in IIOJK and escape international censure. With this, I thank you very much, and I'm happy to take any questions.